the tongue, and the teacher. There's every indication that James had a reason for going into this present discussion on the right and the wrong use of the tongue, along with the subject of teaching. In other words, I don't believe that the Bible just sort of in an attitude to just cast a subject out there and just talk about it. I believe they actually address the subjects that they were dealing with in their churches. James, pastor at the Church of Jerusalem, I believe that this message was extremely pertinent there, and here we are now in the 21st century since then, and the same thing is true. Now, did you note in chapters 1 and 2, if you've been with us over the last few weeks, James placed emphasis upon works and not words. He spoke plainly of those who say they have faith but do not show the fruit of their faith. Now, lest there be those who might be led to feel that it makes no difference what we say, James proceeds to show that words are important. So I need to have a faith that works, a faith that evidences itself in a life that is exemplary of what I claim to believe. I need to have a behavior that is exemplary of what I claim to believe. Now, James has a lot to say about speech and about the use of the tongue. In chapter 1, verse 19, chapter 2, verse 12, chapter 3, verse 2, chapter 4, verse 11, chapter 5, verse 12. Every chapter he penned, he talked about the tongue. It's here that James, through the Holy Spirit, sums up and brings together the scriptural teaching on the sacredness of speech. For by the tongue, James most certainly has in mind the gift of speech. This is a great one-liner. Listen to this one sentence. The tongue is a tattletale that tells on the heart and discloses the real person. We find out all sorts of things because of the tattletale called the tongue. Not only that, but misuse of the tongue is perhaps the easiest way to sin. I can sin more readily with my tongue than anything. No wonder God put the tongue in a cage behind the teeth, walled in by the mouth. Someone observed that because the tongue is in a wet place, it can easily slip. So James uses the tongue as another test of living faith, because the genuineness of a person's faith inevitably will be demonstrated by their speech. James personifies the tongue and the mouth as representation of the depravity and the wretchedness of the inner person. The tongue only produces what it is told to produce by the heart. That's where sin originates. Sin does not originate in the mouth. Sin may be measured by the tongue, but it can only be produced by the heart. That's why Jesus teaches that we need a new heart. The prophets taught we need a new heart. Ezekiel said, I'll take that heart of stone that makes your mouth say things it shouldn't say. I'll take that heart out of you and I'll place a heart of flesh in you. Thank God Jesus Christ gives us a new heart. Matthew 5:19, Jesus speaking said, out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, false witness, blasphemies. I read something this week that became so intriguing to me. Have you ever wished that you could retrieve a word that you've spoken? Boy, if that were possible, I would wear my retriever out.